So I think it's safe to say the majority of people going to the gym would like bigger biceps. I mean, who doesn't want bigger biceps, right? The problem that a lot of people run into when training biceps is one, overtraining them. If you look at a chart which shows you the total size of each muscle group on the body, you'll see that the biceps are not one of the major muscle groups, and therefore it does not make really much sense to place a ton of focus on them. And if you think about doing your pull day or a back and biceps day, for example, you would want to allocate far more volume on that day to training the back muscles rather than the biceps, because of the comparative size difference, and training your back's going to have a much more of a significant impact on your physique. The other consideration here with why you probably don't need that many bicep exercises to grow them is that you'll get some activation in the biceps whenever you are doing a pull down or a pull up with a supinated grip, so with your palms facing the ceiling, or with your hands in a neutral position. You're still going to get a little bit of biceps activation in any pull down, especially in a supinated position or a chin up, for example. So there's going to be more bicep activity there, and that's because the biceps have a mechanical advantage over the brachialis muscle, which is a muscle that sits underneath the long head of the bicep and is actually the strongest elbow flexor in the body. However, when you go into a supinated position, it gives the biceps a mechanical advantage over the brachialis. So in these movements where you have a supinated grip, you are going to get a bit of biceps activation. Now, how do we program biceps exercises and look to build them over time? I think you just want to focus on picking 3 good movements that are going to hit the biceps at different lengths, and look at overall arm development. So, for example, the biceps have a short head and a long head. The short head is what gives you width from the front, and the long head is what gives you a peak when you flex your biceps. And the shape of these muscles is obviously going to be dependent on your origins and insertions based on your genetics, and it will differ between people. However, if you want to be efficient with your bicep training, I think it makes sense to pick a movement where we have the arm out in front of the body, so we're in more shoulder flexion, and then in a lengthened position where the elbow's back behind the body and we are in a stretched position for the bicep, and we are looking to lengthen the bicep here. And if you pick one of these movements with the arm out in front and one of the movements with your arm back behind your body, you are training the biceps in a lengthened and a shortened or more contracted range. And if you pair these 2 exercises with a hammer curl, which would be a dumbbell hammer curl, would probably be my exercise of choice for the brachialis muscle. And the hammer curl is also going to give you some benefits in terms of strengthening the forearms. So I think these 3 exercises give you the biggest bang for your buck, because by training the brachialis muscle through a hammer curl in a neutral grip, it's going to give the perception of a bigger bicep peak as well, because the brachialis pushes up onto the long head of the bicep, as you can see from this anatomy image. Another consideration with training arms generally, biceps and triceps, is that there's some research to suggest that they take longer to recover than the muscles of the lower body. For example, there's been a study looking at in 2011 that looked at biceps and triceps in comparison to hamstrings and quads, and they found that biceps and triceps took a lot longer to recover and induced more muscle damage after training than the lower limb muscles. Now, this may be because the biceps and triceps are used less in daily activities such as walking and things like that. So if you are struggling to grow your biceps and you are hammering them in the gym 4 times a week, wondering why you can't progress your weights over time, it's probably because you can't recover in order to train hard enough the next session when you're doing your biceps. You may be doing too much volume, trying to do too much, and neglecting other muscle groups as a result. And so instead, think about doing a exercise with the arm out in front, such as a preacher curl, an exercise where you're going into shoulder extension with the elbow back behind the body, such as a cable drag curl or a incline dumbbell curl where you're on an incline bench and you're letting the bicep lengthen. And then one exercise to target the brachialis muscle, such as a dumbbell hammer curl or rope hammer curl, for example. These 3 exercises are going to be more than enough to develop a good set of biceps if you progress the weights over time and you take each set close enough to failure. I think if you strip back what you're currently doing, if you're trying to do too much, focus on 3 good exercises, maybe spread them across the week in 2 separate sessions, or move them at the start of your workout if you are prioritizing biceps, and it is a weak point for you. Put it earlier in your session so that you are less fatigued. Give this a go, and I'm sure you'll see the weights progress over time. But don't make the mistake of thinking that you have to go in and train the biceps every day or every other day in order to see them grow, because you're probably not giving yourself a chance to recover. In terms of sets and reps, I would recommend that you go somewhere between the sort of 6 to 12 or 15 rep range. It's not going to make a massive difference in terms of muscle growth, because we know that you can grow at all rep ranges when the set is taken very close to failure. However, I think 6 to 15 is a good ballpark to aim for, so that you're getting good form, you're executing the reps properly, but the weights are sufficiently challenging enough to stimulate growth and push you. So stay in this rep range around 6 to 12 or 15, 2 or 3 sets per exercise, and across three exercises, and that's going to be more than enough to see significant growth. My last point is going to be about using proper form and executing reps with intent. You should be trying to control your weights, lift a weight that you can actually control and not swing about too much. Yes, it's okay to cheat a little bit potentially on a curl if you're trying to control the eccentric on the way down, but if you find that you are having to move your whole body and swing about to get the weight up, it's probably a sign that you need to drop the weight slightly, focus more on control, really squeezing the biceps and actually training the muscles that we're trying to target, rather than overcompensating through too much cheat form. So that's another area where I think a lot of people can improve. And when I started focusing more on my form and tracking my bicep exercises and logging them, trying to progress the weights over time, I definitely saw a lot of progress as well. And I think that's an area that people need to take a bit more seriously, maybe tracking their biceps and triceps work as they would any compound exercise as well. Progressive overload ultimately is the king, isn't it? So I hope you found the video useful. If you did, reminder to drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps the channel grow. Let me know in the comments what types of videos you want to see in the future, any topics you want discussed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Thanks, bye.